circles, area, circumference and perimeter of circles. But first, let's just recap. So to measure area and circumference, in particular, we'll come on to perimeter later, but you need to understand diameter, radius and pi, because that's how you calculate these measurements. Now, let's do the circumference first, which is this one here. Circumference is it's a bit like perimeter, but it's the curved length around a curved object, a circular object. So circumference is all this green line here. And they worked out that the length around the outside here is the same as roughly 3 diameters. And they came out with a very interesting number, which was pi. And pi is roughly 3. And this pi symbol can be found on your calculator. On the sharp ones, it's just there. Button like that. If I press equals, and you can see that it is roughly 3.141592654, and it goes on indefinitely. And so they worked out that the circumference equals pi times the diameter, exactly. And this is the same as 2 lots of radius. So 2 times pi times the radius. And if we look here at the radius, the diameter is the length of one edge of the circle through the centre to the other side. A radius is half that. It's just from any edge into the circle. So radius is half a diameter. So by knowing that, 2 radii are the same as 1 diameter. So if you're given the radius, which questions often like to give you rather than the diameter, you have to double it and then times by pi. For the area, it is actually pi times the radius squared. So if you square this radius and made it into a square, something like that, so I've squared it, radius times radius, they worked out it's roughly 3 of these squares, roughly. So the area equals pi times r squared, also written as pi r squared. And these 2 equations, formulas, you need to know. So area equals pi r squared and circumference equals pi d, or 2 pi r. Now how are we going to remember that? Well, I always remember it because of this little squared thing. Area is always measured in centimetres squared, or metres squared, or kilometres squared, etc. It always has squared units of measurement, so it's the squared formula. And both formulas involving the radius have a 2, have a pi, and have an r. The area is pi r squared, and circumference is 2 pi r. And that's what you need to know. So here we have 13 plus type questions, and this will be level 1. First thing I'm going to do, knowing that we're dealing with circles, is just write our formulas. Can you remember them? What's the area? Pi r squared. And the circumference, I always remember in radius first, 2 pi r is the same as pi d. So a circle has a radius of 7 centimetres. So I might then put down here diameter equals 14. Work out the circumference of the circle to the nearest whole number. So you've got a choice here. You either use your diameter of 14 and times it by pi, or you put in calculator 2 times pi and then times r, which is 7. Well, we've worked out diameter in our head, so we might as well do pi times 14, which equals 43.98229, etc. What I must do is write down the equation. So circumference equals 14 times pi. That'll get me 1 mark, potentially. And then this number here is going to be our answer, but we must remember to write it to 3 significant figures, and that's the other thing about this topic. You need to be able to round correctly, otherwise you'll get it wrong. So 3 significant figures is the 4, 3 and the 9, but the 8 rounds up, making the 9 a 10. Can't have 10 in that column, it's 44.0. 44.0. You'd get the mark if you just put 44 as well. Then it says work out the area of the circle to the nearest whole number. So area equals pi r squared, which equals pi times r is 7. 7 squared, I can do that in my head. You should know your square numbers. 49, which equals pi times 49, or pi 49. It doesn't like that. 49 times pi. 153.93, etc. To the nearest whole number, 154, because the 9 rounds up. First 2 questions quite simple for 4 marks. You just need to know the formulas. And then we have work out the area of a triangle of ABC. Now, triangle, area of triangle equals half times base times height, which equals half times 14 times the height, which is 7, which is actually just half times 14 is 7, so 7 times 7, 49 centimeters, and it's squared because it's an area. Don't even need a calculator. Obviously you can use it if you want. And then lastly, the perimeter of the triangle ABC is 33.8 centimeters. Think what perimeter means. It's the length walking around the shape, so 14 plus this plus that equals 33.8. So 33.8 is the same as 14 plus AB and BC, but actually they're the same. Isosceles, it tells you that they're the same length. So if we call it, let's just call it letter B. This is also length, letter B. So it's 14 plus 2 lots of B. Here we've got our algebra. So we want to get the B's on their own. So we've got 2B to get rid of this 14. So we subtract 14 from both sides and we get 19.8. Subtracted 14. And then we want to get the value of 1B, so I need to divide it both by 2, and we get 9.9. 9.9 centimeters. A little bit of algebra in there, which is great. And that's that done. Okay, here we have 13 plus type questions for a level 2 paper. We're dealing with circles. First thing I do, area equals pi r squared. Circumference equals 2 pi r, which is the same as 2, not 2, pi times d, or pi d. Work out the circumference of the circle, well, its radius. So we need to do 2 times 7.5, that's 7.5, times pi. 2 times 7.5 equals 15, times 4 times pi is 47.1238. Don't forget to do it to 3 significant figures, and that is 47.1. Now work out the area of the circle. The area equals pi times r squared, 7.5 squared. So we do pi times 7.5 squared. That equals 176.714, etc. 3 significant figures, 177, because the 7 rounds up. Square centimeters. Part 2, the figure shows an isosceles triangle. Just going to move the top of it. ABC, drawn on a circle with diameter AC. So that's our 15 centimeters. So we know that this circle is exactly the same as the one above because the radius was 7.5, so the diameter is 15, and here's the diameter. So it's the same circle, which helps us. Work out the shaded area. Well, the shaded area is the whole circle subtract the triangle. So we know the area of the circle. Area of circle equals 177 centimeters squared. We just need to work out the triangle, and you might have recognised this a little bit from the level 1 paper as well. So area of triangle, let's do a triangle, equals half times base times height, which equals half times 15 times the height, which is from the centre to the edge. That's the same as the radius, so it's 7.5. And we type that into a calculator. 15 times 0.5 times 7.5. Done that in a strange order. I did do half times 15, but I've done 15 times half there, but it's the same. Equals 56.25. So now I need to subtract 56.25 from 177. So we do the whole circle, 177, subtract the area of the triangle, 56.25. And it equals 120.75, which is 120